everybody. Welcome to the Agent Carter After Show. I'm Stephanie Tait, your host for the evening, and we are live in Hollywood.
Beautiful Hollywood.
From the Stream Studios. And joining me is Bryan Scheidler of Good Nerd, Bad Nerd fame.
Hey everyone.
And Steve McQueen Tenney
Hi.
of, you write articles for Good Nerd, Bad Nerd on The Walking Dead.
I am a contributor. A willing contributor.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So you can join in the conversation using the hashtag AgentCarterAS. And we are excited because yesterday was the 2-hour premiere of the second season of Agent Carter.
Not a 1-hour premiere, like some of us may have thought.
I love that. I love that you thought it was only 1 hour.
When you sit down, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna watch. It'll be an hour. We'll do this, and then I'll take my notes.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, they've buffered a lot of time for a 1-hour show.
Yeah, I feel like at minute 52, Bryan was like, they're really not wrapping this up. Why is this taking so long to get to where another episode. That makes sense.
But you know, if you gotta do it, you gotta do it. You always want more Peggy.
Definitely.
So,
Yeah.
Initial thoughts.
It's so great to have a lot of the returning cast. Love Jarvis. I love we've met his wife. I want just more of them. I want an entire show that's just them and like the insanity that is their life.
Oh my gosh, they're so wonderful. What about you?
I loved it. You know, we get treated to a lot of comic book related content, and this has to be the sharpest written one on TV.
Yeah.
It's so smart, so well written. I'm a huge fan.
Well, that's good. It seems like most of the feedback I've been seeing on the internet has been positive. I certainly loved it.
Absolutely.
Flaws and all. I thought parts of it were a bit forced, but we'll get into that later. Can we just talk about the opening? The fact that, I mean, they're coming into this and they're like, listen, this is not the Agent Carter you saw last season. Because she was living under Captain America's shadow, and she literally destroyed Captain America's shadow. And cast it off.
She poured Captain America's shadow into the river.
She did.
She
Tears
cut that
and
final
all.
tie, that final piece that was holding her back.
Yeah,
She cut it loose.
she had to. And I like that now she's respected, and she even said, was it last season, the last episode where she said, I don't need to be recognized because I know my value now. That's huge.
Absolutely.
So the fact that we start this with a woman who is her enemy, assuming her look.
Yeah, she's essentially killing off last year's Peggy.
Yes!
Yeah, it was and a great MacGuffin move, like to bring in, you essentially think you're watching Peggy walk into this bank.
Yeah.
The classic, blue with the red
Misdirection,
hat.
yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh, I'm so glad they got rid of that red hat.
And so nice to bring back Dottie, though, to see Dottie right away.
Yes.
We got to have that.
But see, I like their relationship, and we'll get into that later, but
Yeah, little known fact though, the human head was actually much stronger in the 40s, so it could take a brutal assault with a bag of gold.
She is completely 100% dead after that hit.
That
just so you know.
slow-mo, though.
Fully dead.
Slow-mo. The coins just go.
It was good. It looked good. It's a good shot.
That was
Oh my goodness.
That was nice.
But let's get straight into one of my issues. So we have a new Peggy Carter. She has become such a rubbish spy. Okay.
I completely agree.
Oh my gosh.
But
so,
I think there's a reason for it.
Do you think there's a reason for it?
I really do, because
Okay.
in season 1, she had to be the best spy because she was not only infiltrating everything she was investigating, but she had to do it under the nose of everyone in the SSR. Here she's like, Peggy, do whatever you want. We trust you. We know, at least Sousa. He's like, yeah, Peggy, she can do whatever she wants.
Yeah, but
So she's kind of been in that way because these key people trust her. She's kind of been let loose.
Yeah, but for her own safety, is walking around with a "Hello, my name is I'm a spy" on her chest. Effectively, it's not a great move for a spy.
No.
That's true. The first person she does meet in ISO9, she's like, yeah, I'm a spy.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, not only that, but he's like, hey, drink this. She's like, okay, cool, sure, whatever.
I'm sure we'll get into it later, but I have never seen someone work a professional spy so completely as Dr. Wilkes works Peggy Carter in this episode.
Right?
He completely owns her. I loved it. It was great.
It just got embarrassing. And when she met
He's a
Chadwick.
handsome man. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, okay, that's what does it. So. But she meets Chadwick. She starts out great, and she pulls out her American accent, and I was like, okay, this is cute. And then she's like, oh, so-and-so's dead. And then she suddenly goes in and she's like, I'm Agent Carter. I'm like, oh, come on, man. That's like James Bond.
Play it out a little bit more.
Yeah, like
yeah.
give it a scene or two instead of just, like the audience knows who you are.
Because she did have him hooked. She had him.
He was buying, yeah.
He was like, yeah, I'll tell you whatever you want.
Right? And then she's like, I'm an agent.
She's like, then tell it to my fist of justice.
Oh, man. Which leads us to her relationship with men in this series. It's definitely changed. I loved that moment with her and Jack Thompson where he said, you're the favorite agent right now. And he was pissed.
Rightfully so, because as we see later on with his really terribly awkward carrot and stick scene, he's useless. He's not actually a very good agent, and he wasn't in season 1. He's just been around long enough, and he's one of the boys. He was one of the boys that's just kept getting promoted.
And essentially, he says it during the stick and carrot conversation, is that he was the muscle to the previous chief.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he assumed a secondary role to him because he was willing to do things that the other agents weren't willing to do.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't have to do any talking. It's
Yeah.
like, well, you probably should.
He brought the hammer. And after we see Peggy break down Dottie in the interview, in the interrogation.
And so easily.
You have no fear. There's no fear in the situation, which is essentially telling Dottie that to see Jack come in such a wooden and laconic way and just say, I'm going to be rough and you're going to tell me what you're going to tell me. It doesn't work. It doesn't. It just plays up how good Peggy has gotten at doing her job.
Speaking of which, how wonderful is it that we're then immediately flown off to her and Jarvis again? Because what an incredible team they make.
Yeah.
Him being bored with being a butler, of course. My God. And I don't understand the flamingo, but I'm sure that will all be explained
Don't lay off
soon.
Bernard.
You know what? Bernard is, and the little
Devil in
wrestling,
Pink. I love it.
the wrestling match that they had.
Well, somebody even said they're like, Anna Jarvis does not need television because she just has to watch her husband chase a flamingo on the lawn with wine.
Which I could
Yakking
have that
sex
as
in the
a
background.
screensaver. Just I've watched that for hours.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, dear. Well, let's talk about Sousa then, because she's leaving one useless rubbish chief for somebody who's incredibly capable.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I like about him, and we see this when he's dealing with the actual police detective, is he knows how to handle people.
Yes, he does.
He totally handles that detective. I blank on his name, but he's like, oh, we need to go to the press. He's like, wow, okay, you do that. As soon as he's out the door, Peggy, do what you need to do.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
like he knows that guy's method is rubbish. He knows that it's lazy, and he's like, okay, go have the press try and do all the work for you, but okay, now he's gone. Peggy, let's do some real work.
But don't you think the thing that was going on between the two of them, where it was like this, oh, awkward, oh, so I liked you, oh, so you don't like me anymore now, don't you think that almost took away from everything? Because in my mind, I then was like, oh, so he's somebody who only looked at her almost like as a Galatea. He was Pygmalion, she was Galatea. She suddenly had feelings for him. He didn't have to pursue her anymore, so he didn't want her anymore.
Yeah, I didn't get that take from it.
I didn't either.
It's just me.
It's just
you.
you.
No,
so
last
it's okay to
season-
be wrong, Stephanie.
Yeah.
She's wrong a lot, folks.
Hey!
Anyway, last season we got introed to Sousa as kind of a broken character, a broken hero.
Yeah.
And he's kind of reincorporated himself on the West Coast. He's in the slick shirt without the tie. Like
he keeps it loose.
He's adjusted to California, but he's also found his confidence over there.
Yeah.
He's found himself, and in doing so, I think he has found this woman who clearly is attracted to him, and that he's attracted to, where he felt the mutual as opposed to chasing Peggy, and mutual feels good.
Yeah,
well, here's
that's
the
a good
thing. I
point.
got the impression that they gave me in the one conversation where she's like, is that there was a mutual attraction towards the end of their time in New
Absolutely.
York.
Yeah.
But as soon as he was out in California, he couldn't handle the distance. And that's, especially at that in the 40s, that is a long way. That is a very
There's
long
no email,
way.
there's no FaceTime. You're,
Yeah.
Just on the phone.
Lucky
if
to
you're
get
lucky,
on the phone, exactly.
There's a party line.
So I get that struggle. And then he does find someone who is honestly as equally confident as Peggy.
Yeah,
That's true.
absolutely.
She is Violet, right?
Yes.
She is. I was impressed with her because she she handled herself like she was in charge whenever she was in the room.
And she got it.
Yeah.
She didn't have any insecurities about who he was or his job or who she was in his life. And that was refreshing.
Yeah, it wasn't there, and I don't think we're gonna get that kind of cliche. You have to pick your job over me stuff. She's like, you're a secret agent saving the world. I get it.
And she brings him bear claws.
Half-eaten bear claws.
Half-eaten.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
And cookies, though.
That she made herself. So speaking of chemistry, can we talk about how much chemistry Agent Carter and Jason did not have? That was awful. I felt like they were trying so hard. They're like, please understand that these two people can work.
Yeah, well, I mean, Peggy even had the line, I've only known him like a day and a half. Why am I this upset?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, well, you had a phone booth kiss. After,
Phone booth kiss. What is this, Superman?
kind of. Peggy, Super Peggy.
Super Peggy.
Super Pegs.
I'd watch
So.
that.
We are.
That's true.
We are essentially.
Good point.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, they gave him every smooth line in the book. And it was just like, okay.
He was stone cold killing it. Like, he looked smooth. He was doing everything he was supposed to do. He got Peggy to meet him at a bar. Let's go up to Makeout Point afterwards.
Yes.
No, let's go check out my work where I'm big and important. And we'll go. He was doing the, just lady killer move after lady killer move. But you're right. There was a certain amount of this doesn't feel like it's 100% hitting.
No, and it was because it happened so fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, you're an individual. I'm going to give you my fake alcohol. And she's going to be like, sure. And then suddenly they're, going out and
Of
there's,
all
like,
the
a
things,
thing.
by the way, to drink, alcohol, if not done correctly, will blind you. Do bad, and it's just, no, let's try this. Let's go for it. I think it works. Let's give it a go.
Steve
He's a
speaks from
physicist.
experience.
Yeah.
2 weeks I was blind. Bad moonshine. Anywho.
And that's a story
glasses.
for another day. Well,
As we speak.
let's move on to isodyne
Yes.
and that
Which-
amazing black substance, zero matter.
No, it's Venom. It's Venom.
Don't toy with my emotions,
Oh,
Brian.
God.
It's the
Don't do that to
the stereotypical Marvel black liquid filter that they plug into every property.
special
Yeah,
effect.
when we were talking, I was like, wait a second, is that dark force or is that, what was it,
Gravitonium from the first season
Gravitonium?
of S.H.I.E.L.D., yeah.
And then you even were like, well, and then there's the portal. And
Yeah,
The
it's
obelisk.
clearly the same as the obelisk when it's in liquid form. It's like, come on, guys. I'm pretty sure you can afford another visual effect. Give us something else.
Or at least another color.
yeah.
Like a dark
well,
gray.
I mean, if something's going to be called dark force, I guess
should
it has
probably
to be
be.
black.
Wow, probably be.
I don't know.
It's a stretch,
Maybe.
but whatever.
I don't know. I mean,
No,
gravitonium should be something else.
Gravitonium could be silver. I don't know. Point being, it's hard to delineate. We're not actually sure, is it a separate substance? It could be the same substance that the obelisk is made out of.
Yeah.
We really don't know.
It's true.
Well,
So-
and actually, if you little nerd 101, in Marvel Comics, the Dark Force matter that this is supposed to be, it has 3 different phases. It has gas, a gas type. It has the liquid type, and it has a solid type. So it's theoretical that the obelisk could be Dark Force matter, especially since there are a lot of characters in the Marvel Universe, specifically Cloak, who is a teleporter and teleports through the dark
Exactly.
matter universe.
Ooh,
So
I like
it's
this.
not a far stretch for them to be related.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of tie-ins, this is a pretty nice tie-in to the upcoming Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting, and it's a nice tie-in to Shield.
Yeah, and the producers have said this is how the show actually ties into Doctor Strange with this matter, this zero matter somehow.
It's so cool. Well, here's my question though. This is something that I've been thinking of. When the dark force, explodes and it goes through the wall, there's that mist that then goes around Peggy. Does that mean that she is now infused with the dark force too, and she can manipulate it?
You mean at that explosion?
Yeah.
I didn't think that was the mist of the Dark Force. I figured, like in the video that Jason showed her from the explosion, that's just a pressure wave.
No, don't take that away from me.
I'm taking it away from you. I'm taking it away from you because you can't be wrong all the time. I'm trying to teach you.
Give you one right step.
Man!
You know, it's no. I think that was a pressure wave from the explosion.
Ah, darn. Because I thought that would actually be really cool if suddenly Peggy's, you know,
Super powered.
Doctor Stranging
Well,
it.
at least give her, it, you know, I like the concept of that it could possibly give her some kind of resistance to or immunity from the Dark Force. I like that concept, but I agree with Brian. Thinking back on it, it's probably just the pressure wave coming off the implosion.
Yeah, fair enough. And the people who rejected the Dark Force, silly buggers, we have the Council.
Oh yeah, the group of angry white men.
They were.
I could say something.
Now the significant thing there, one of the we focused on two characters. I'm blanking on the actor's name, but he plays the role of Hugh Jones, who we saw in season 1. He was the head of Roxxon.
Yep.
So from the comics, right off the bat, super evil, big corporate guy. He's got a whole confusing history.
Exactly.
Including trying to topple the U.S. government. But
I was just going to
And
say
possibly being responsible for Howard and Maria Stark's death. There's also that involved.
there's also being possessed by a serpent crown.
Sure.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's just
Who
called another
hasn't been
Tuesday.
possessed by a serpent crown?
I know,
That's-
I have.
While
Good
trying to
point.
kill
Good
my
point. You know.
I mean,
business
no
rival.
judgment. No
Yeah.
judgment.
No judgment. None.
So what do we think about this Hydra organization? What do we think we're going to see from them?
It's got to be Hydra, right?
It has to be Hydra.
Even their little pins is
Yeah.
like a shout out to
Completely the away mission.
to the
logo.
Winter. Well, but
Yes.
it's even a shout out to Winter Soldier when they're all wearing a Hydra pin.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like,
oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
It's like, yeah, this is. I mean, they're like, okay, we just beat Hydra. We can't be wearing a Hydra pin. Let's go back to what that other thing was, what it evolved from, and let's take that.
We can wear that and nobody's going to ask questions.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, it's clear that the logo that is above the private room that they go into
Yes.
Yeah.
is essentially the exact same logo that's on the patch of the astronaut in the away mission from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh yeah.
So we can. It's safe to say we can make the assumption that that is a Hydra cabal, if you will.
Yes. Oh, goody.
Ni-
More
ni-
Hydra.
Nice use of the word cabal.
Thank you. Try and add fun words in whenever I can.
Is anybody else kind of sick of Hydra?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're in the comics they don't go away, but like since there's only so much time you can spend on villains in the TV shows or the movies, because you don't want to keep repeating the same story, it'd be nice if they could move on to something else.
Well, and remember, we've dealt with Hydra. Hydra has been eliminated for
That's
us
true.
in current time.
Right.
But we're looking now
We're in the
60,
pasties.
70 years into the past, exactly. And last season, Agent Carter didn't deal with Hydra.
No, it was Leviathan,
Exactly.
which I love. I really wanted more Leviathan.
Now
I know.
we
I
can,
wanted
but now
somebody else.
Agent Carter can deal with Hydra because she has not previously.
Well, speaking of other baddies, we have our delightful Whitney Frost, who,
This is fantastic.
Madame Masque, come on.
Yeah.
That is going to be incredible. I don't care that she's, Iron Man's whatever. This,
She is a fantastic character, and she
This
has
is-
a very rich history
yeah.
with everything. I mean,
Yeah.
being the leader of basically Marvel's Mafia at
Yes.
one point, technical espionage,
And
which is clearly what we see her doing.
And the minute she walks onto screen, you have this major CEO of Isodyne, and she basically whips him and puts him in the corner.
It's
Yeah.
like when Vader walked into the room and everyone was like, "Oh,
No, she can't. There was a high level of pugnacity with Whitney Frost dealing with the human icicle
oh yeah."
at the beginning of the episode.
So many puns.
But I mean, there was a lot of, "Hey, did you get that? It's Frost," and it's a. Anywho, but the character comes off great, and especially how we see the character go out at the end is leading a lot to for us to discover.
Yeah.
So,
Well, here's an interesting thing. So, I automatically wondered, okay, so is she going to do the Golden Mask? And the name of the movie that she's filming is called The Woman with the Golden Mask, right? Or
That's
the Golden
little-
Face. No, either one of those. And
Well, which was it?
well, I don't know, Bryan Scheidler. So the other thing that I loved, and I was reading all these different theories about her and whether or not she'd have a mask. At the very end, when we see that crack in her forehead, does that mean that she's already wearing a mask and the impact cracked her mask and then infused her through that?
I think Marvel typically subscribes to the keep it simple. So what I think, because if you go back to when she is filming, the director's like, hey, let's get rid of these lines under her eyes. And, you know, he's really kind of doing that very 40s, like, oh, come on, doll, you just got to look pretty.
Well, I wouldn't say it's still 1940s. I think it's still going on.
I'm just saying in the context here. But anyway, so I think I don't...
a Sklar brother, just in case you were wondering. Anywho, go ahead.
I don't think it's a mask. What I think is that it's essentially been absorbed into her.
Okay.
And I think we're going to start to see her face like very
Slowly rot
rapidly,
away.
like rot away or decay or something.
That's
So
gonna be
she's
great.
going to take on the mask to hide what is happening to
Yeah,
her.
I see it as cracking through. I see the dark force breaking through her face, essentially.
Yeah.
So we'll start to see, you know, decay and crack in that term.
That's
So.
kind of exciting.
No, I think it's going to be
I
really
think
good.
because you're seeing her kind of evolve into Madame Masque. So and what I'm really hoping is that she's not a one and done villain, is that she becomes a foil, kind of like Dottie. It wasn't a one and done. She's gonna
back.
be back through this
Ah,
episode.
she was so great, though.
So I'm looking forward to seeing Whitney, Madame Masque, throughout this season, and hopefully more than just this season.
Yeah, I would love for her and Dottie actually to team up. Which leads us to the best part of Agent Carter, as far as I'm concerned, her fellow women. We have some incredible female characters. You know, as somebody whose whole career revolves around the representation of women in film and television. This was a delight, especially because the way that they're presented, it's in this non-competitive sort of way. You know, it's not perpetuating this idea that there are very few positions of power for women in the world. And so everyone has to be nasty to each other and two-faced and everything else. So, you know, her relationship with Anna, her relationship with Violet, her relationship with Rose.
Essentially, Violet, Sousa's girlfriend, is her competition.
Yeah.
And you see them completely ignore that trope and go straight
Yes.
into we can be normal humans to each other and we
Which
can be
was
friends.
so nice.
As opposed to, you know, speaking entirely about Sousa, gorgeous Sousa. And,
and then
what's
even
going
with
on with him.
even
He
with
was perfect. It's
even
perfect.
with Anna during the very comical Jarvis workout scene.
Yeah.
She, you know, walks in and Peggy's on
Her
top.
husband is on, on
or-
top of his.
and she's like, oh, he used his patented flying turtle kick or whatever. and Peggy's just like, I have no idea what's going on, but it's just Anna's like, yep.
Anna, I mean, and Anna is clearly the breakout of this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's fantastic. The actress playing her comes across so natural and vibrant. It's
and
fantastic.
Peggy's reaction to her initially is the audience's reaction.
Yeah.
Like, this is not who I expected season one that we didn't see.
We expected prim and proper Mrs. Jarvis to work with Edwin. That
Yeah.
makes sense. And seeing this kind of wild, free Eastern European woman coming like at Peggy and
She's
at
a
us
hugger.
as an audience as a whole is fantastic.
She's a hugger. She is not. And I would really, really, really love for her to start getting in the field. And there's a hint of that because when she brings out the little garter belt with the
She
the
is her
holster.
cue. She is Peggy's
That's
cue.
true.
See, I'll
Yeah.
even take it a step further. I think Jarvis is her moneypenny.
Yes.
And Anna is the cue. If you look at it that way,
Ah.
it makes 100% sense.
I actually really like that.
Thank you.
That's
That's
kinda-
mine. Copyright. Steve Tenney.
Steve the Walking Dead Tenney. No, I love how she has a friendship with another woman
Absolutely.
this season because Angie was so important because she provided a grounding to her in season one, and now having Anna, who is the perfect foil almost to Angie because Angie's this, you know, naive New York girl, and Anna is this worldly, confident, secure woman. And I love that it also reinforced that she is secure enough in her relationship with Jarvis that at no point is there going to be any sort of tension or fabricated competition between the two women.
Absolutely.
Well, and she even talks about, oh, from the stories Jarvis has told me about you. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
Jarvis is clearly talking about her a lot, and there's no, it's just
Because
Peggy.
she gets it.
Yeah.
She gets that world. She gets the people inside that world, and she knows that there's obviously something very special about her. She's not.
Well, and she's had to be around Stark a lot,
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
They both know how to put up with
Edwin,
that.
the socks on the door.
Oh, bless. That was just uncomfortable. But how wonderful is Rose? I am so glad they brought her back and gave her a larger role.
Yeah, she is the mother to all the secret agents there, and she's kind of like, okay, Sousa, you just go. You need to really if you don't, but
Yeah.
Her exposition on how they keep trying to hide themselves from the talent.
Yes.
And the talent just keeps showing up. It was my favorite part of the episode. It was my favorite line. I loved it.
I felt really bad for the tap dancing girls. It's
Oh,
like,
I know.
It's like just have
I
them
felt
stop.
worse for the clown. That poor clown
Oh
looked
my
like he'd
God,
been
just-
sitting there for
It
hours.
was a lesson in rejection.
Sad clown.
It is sad clown. So something else that they mentioned that is of concern is the potential end of the SSR.
Absolutely.
How it's not able to evolve in this post-war period. And so what does that actually mean?
Well, I think Kurtwood Smith is a great addition to any show. That guy is a fantastic actor. So bringing him in to kind of have the FBI, what we think is the FBI at least, come in and kind of
Shut it down.
Yeah,
essentially.
exactly. Appropriate the SSR into his own group. It sets up, okay, the East Coast is effectively gone. The East Coast is done.
I think it's going to be the West Coast that actually evolves into Shield.
Exactly.
Because it didn't make sense to me. I'm watching this like, how is this group, the one that's supposed to be Shield, getting manhandled by the FBI? Like, these are supposed to be like above any like local law enforcement or anything, and it's just like, no, we're going to take her. It's like, but they become Shield.
Yeah. But apparently they don't.
Apparently
At least
they
not
don't.
the East Coast one, because they've
Yeah.
got Jack Thompson running it. That poor sad man.
Like I said, he's a guy who's just been there and just keeps getting promotions because he's
Falling up.
He's falling up. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
He was a buddy of the boss, and he always gets invited out for drinks.
Yeah.
He's friends with all the guys, but he's not very good at his job.
What I think is so great, though, is you see the East Coast one falling apart, and Sousa is this incredible backbone of the West Coast one. And we see him just like, it's almost like a victory. He and Peggy were constantly made fun of, overlooked, thrown to the side, and now on the West Coast, they're just thriving.
Exactly. They filtered out the dross, if you will, of the East Coast with Jack Thompson and the guys first mentality. And on the East Coast, you can see Peggy thriving. You can see Sousa has thriven, the past tense of thrived, I'm not sure. He's already done it. He's already got it there. My point being that we're seeing the like I said, the dross is falling away, and what is pure is rising to the surface.
So what do you think Jack Thompson's going to do? Do you think he's going to wind up...
Patsy.
He's going to be a patsy.
Patsy.
I think the
Chad Michael
premiere
Murray's
we
got it
got-
written all over his face.
well, the premiere we got for
Poor guy.
this season clearly shows that whether he knows it or not, he is going to be working for that 12 Angry White Men.
Exactly, and it plays into what we talked about earlier in that he was the muscle. He's not smart enough to know he's being played.
Yeah.
And that's Peggy or Sousa, they would get it. But Jack, maybe Jack was put in charge for this exact reason.
That's a good point.
Looking back at it,
Yeah.
so we're seeing that come full circle.
Yeah. Oh, bless his heart. Well, let's go ahead to the Twitter universe. We have some really amazing tweets that we'd like to discuss.
We do. We're going to first go with @Stephen D. Giampa. He says, I don't trust Sousa's girlfriend or Jarvis's wife. #Agent Carter, #Agent Carter AS. That's a bold statement.
That is a bold statement.
Because they're doing a pretty good job of trying to convince you that they're trustworthy, like heavily trustworthy. I think Rose would be the one that we'd have the real worry about. Jarvis's wife, I'm not concerned about.
No.
She's not involved.
Wait, you don't trust Rose?
If there's between
I'm sorry,
the two,
you don't trust
I think
Rose?
he's saying
if between the
If.
two, if I have to say, one of these two is going to be a sleeper, Rose would be the sleeper, in my opinion. You think Anna Jarvis is the sleeper?
No, I don't think Anna Jarvis is. I could see her being a part of something completely different, but no, Rose is not. If it's Rose, that'll break my heart because I want Rose to be a constant throughout this show.
I want all of them to be fine, and not just because I think.
I will say I have doubts about is it Jason or
Jason Wilkes.
yeah, Jason Wilkes.
Yeah.
Playing off what we said earlier, he was so smooth.
And he was clearly playing both sides of that fence.
Yes.
Right, and he even said how loyal he is to the company for very legitimate reasons.
Absolutely.
I loved his backstory.
Yeah, his backstory is fantastic, but
Yeah.
that backstory also makes me. You don't know Peggy enough to throw all of that away in a day.
True.
But if it's somebody who's coming from a situation like he described, and he recognizes wrongdoing being done, perhaps he was looking for that initial shove to do the right thing.
It could be. That's very
It's
possible.
definitely.
And
So-
that actually does make him a very strong analog for the moral ground that Captain America always had.
Or
Absolutely.
it's going to make him the perfect foil to Whitney Frost, since they both now have the dark force in them.
Well, in theory, we don't even know if Dr. Wilkes is still alive.
Yes, because we definitely haven't seen him in promo pictures. or
No,
anything
of
like
course
that.
not. Crazy.
Anywho,
Glasses are off, everyone. Glasses are off.
But we haven't talked about Violet. I think Violet is the most likely one.
yeah,
But I'm hoping that she isn't. That's my feeling.
I think she is very possible.
She's
but
the most likely. Yeah.
probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
So next tweet.
Next one, we're going to @Geek and Sundry. Few things are more satisfying than the fact that Peggy and Jarvis are so close and familiar, yet completely platonic. Hashtag Agent Carter. I think we talked about
Yeah,
that.
we nailed
Yeah.
that. That's
They have-
definitely.
They have a relationship, and even last season, watching last season finish up, in the finale, we see that Peggy and Jarvis share a moment, and you realize that this moment is not a "Am I going to kiss her? Is she going to kiss me?" moment. It's a "I genuinely care about you" moment, and
Yeah.
I want to see you live and thrive.
Which is nice, because then it takes away this idea that everything is about sex, and
Absolutely.
that Peggy herself is nothing more than someone to be objectified.
Yeah.
You know, she gets to be a person. She gets to have genuine friendships with somebody other than other women.
I actually see their relationship as she's like a big sister. That
Yeah.
moment when she actually gives him a gun finally,
Oh, that was so cute.
and it's like, okay, be safe.
Yeah.
She's also a bit of a mentor to him.
Oh yeah, totally. She's kind of training him in this spy
She brought
world.
him in.
Yeah.
And it's a drug for him, and so she's got to now take responsibility for the addict.
Yeah, she does.
And beyond that, we're getting to see Jarvis clearly love his wife.
Yes.
I mean, there's no question.
Thank God.
We're full of characters where there's some leeway in the way that they deal with members of the opposite sex, specifically Howard Stark. And Jarvis is the exact opposite of that. He loves his wife, is thoroughly devoted to his wife. And you see that even from their brief interaction that we see on the show. And Peggy doesn't threaten that at all because Jarvis loves his wife. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. Beautiful.
It's
Very.
nice that she has that sort of sacred, safe space with the two of them.
Absolutely.
So, and the next tweet.
The final one coming from @a man called HWK, which I'm assuming is Hawk, @a man called Hawk. Loved last night's Agent Carter, hashtag Dat Carter, fixed my biggest problem with last season, which was how they ignored racism at the time. This was fantastic, and I think that
Yes.
it's great because you get to see Peggy react to it more so than Wilkes.
Yes.
Peggy spent all of last season effectively being the one looked down upon for who she is, and now she's experiencing this gentleman, this African-American gentleman, experience it completely, and he's, you know what, this is the way it is, I'm trying to be cool about it, and Peggy loses it. Peggy flips over it, and it's fantastic. It was a great move.
Well, it's that subtle way of showing that it's like an everyday racism type thing.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, that it's not always some big, grand, obvious gesture. That it's
It's the little things.
it's as much the little things
Yeah.
as it is the big things. And I'm glad that they finally brought it up. You know, as a feminist, of course, the first season, I was like, thank you. Somebody's talking about, you know, how women are treated in the workplace. But it was very obvious that they were completely ignoring anything outside of a white narrative.
well,
I'm-
and like we said about his backstory, it really reinforced
yes.
everything that I think that this season is really going to be hitting home and talking about and addressing. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's that whole thing of, well, there's plenty of space for everybody's narrative. You know, it doesn't have to just keep reinforcing the white male narrative.
Absolutely.
So, well done, Agent Carter. I'm very pleased with that. So, anybody in our YouTube chat?
we've got this one question, and I don't remember this character, but it's any chance Vernon Masters is related to Anthony Masters, Taskmaster, great grandfather perhaps? Who was Vernon?
Oh, man.
In the chat,
Great television. Great television.
Go. I don't remember who Vernon was.
I don't
Vernon
remember who
Masters, is that possibly the older gentleman who is in with
The council?
The council. That's what I think I'm going to.
That would be the most
that
likely.
Would make sense.
Yeah. And don't be fooled. Marvel never uses a name twice that they don't want you to pick up.
Yeah.
So if the guy has a name and it's that name,
There's definitely possibility there.
yeah,
So,
it's theoretically possible. Taskmaster, from what I understand, is in that kind of gray area of where he actually ends
who
as
belongs?
far as rights.
Yeah,
but
he belongs to, absolutely.
you know, fans of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. have been petitioning for him to come to that show for, well, 3 seasons.
There you go.
So maybe this is how they do it.
It would be great. He's a great character. And, you know, if they're introducing that for the possibility later on, more power to him.
Yep.
Makes sense to me.
So, he was the FBI guy.
The
RoboCop?
FBI guy.
Oh,
Vernon Masters is
Right.
Kurtwood Smith.
Yes, he is. That's right. I remember that now.
There we go.
Clarence
Yeah.
Boddicker,
okay.
RoboCop.
I think.
We're totally wrong.
So rewind 5 minutes and then
But
skip
that's
it.
still a possibility. It doesn't
Yeah.
change the fact of what you're saying and
Yeah.
who we
Yeah.
are. I mean, clearly he is Kurtwood Smith. There's something not on the level with his character and the way he's dealing with the FBI.
Yeah.
So the fact that he possibly could be related to Taskmaster still completely applies.
Yep.
Well, I'm excited.
Yeah, this is going to be a great season.
This is going to be a great season.
Yep.
And I think they're going to be able to work out a lot of the kinks and the forces and the flaws. You know, it's the first 2 episodes.
Absolutely.
So the next one is next week,
Yeah.
which is very exciting.
And we will be here next
And
week.
we will be here next week in exactly 1 week. So make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and to stream theStream.tv. And you can join in the conversation using the hashtag AgentCarterAS. And thank you so much for joining us.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye. See you later.